During dinner, my billionaire son asked, "Why don't you live in the house I bought for you?" I froze, my heart sinking in shock. What house? I didn't receive any house. He looked at my daughter, the perfect, caring sister who had always been on the family's side. She turned pale, jumped up, and ran away, leaving behind a silence that foreshadowed the destruction of everything. Before we continue, please subscribe to the channel and write in the comments what time it is where you are now. The marinara sauce had been simmering for 3 hours. I stirred it one more time, checked my phone again, still no text from Devereaux, and wiped down the counter for the 4th time that evening. My son was driving up from San Francisco, and I hadn't seen him in a year. The pasta water rolled into a boil just as my phone buzzed. "Parking now. Smells amazing from the street." I grinned, turned down the heat, and went to unlock the door. Devereaux came through first, carrying a bottle of wine that probably cost more than my weekly grocery budget. He wrapped me in a hug that lifted my feet off the ground. 68 and still cooking for my kids," I said when he set me down. "Best chef in Portland," he said, then spotted the old playbills stacked on my shelf. "You kept all those?" 35 years of theater doesn't just disappear. Velma arrived 15 minutes later with Cornelius trailing behind. She kissed my cheek, handed me store-bought cookies, and complimented the apartment. In that tone people use when they're trying too hard. Cornelius shook my hand without making eye contact and asked where the bathroom was. We settled around my small kitchen table. I'd pulled in a folding chair so all 4 of us could fit. The pasta came out perfect. Devereaux launched into stories about his AI startup, something about machine learning and Series B funding that went over my head. Velma nodded along, playing the supportive sister, asking all the right questions. 70-hour weeks, Devereaux said, twirling linguine on his fork. "But we just closed the round, so things should calm down." "Must be nice," Cornelius muttered, "having money to burn on startups." The table went quiet for a beat. I jumped in with something about dessert, but Devereaux was already pivoting. "So, Dad, I've been meaning to ask." He set down his fork. "Why haven't you moved into the house yet? It's been a whole year since I—" My wine glass tilted in my hand. A few drops hit the tablecloth. "What house?" "The one in Eastmoreland." Devereaux looked genuinely confused. "I sent Velma $850,000 last February for the purchase. You said you wanted something in that neighborhood near the golf course, remember? Velma handled everything because I was swamped with the company launch." The room tilted. My reading glasses slid down my nose. "I never—" "Velma, what's he talking about?" Her fork clattered against her plate. The sound rang out like a gunshot in the sudden silence. Her face went white, actually white, like someone had drained the blood right out of her skin. We should... Cornelius, we need to..." She stood so fast her chair scraped backward across the linoleum. Cornelius grabbed her arm, but she was already moving toward the door, fumbling with her purse. "Velma, sit down," Cornelius said. His voice had that edge people get when they're trying to control something that's already spiraling. "Let's just—" "I forgot something in the car." She bolted. Those designer heels that probably cost $300 caught on my door frame. Karma works fast in Portland. 1 second she's fleeing a crime scene, the next she's doing a pratfall worthy of a community theater audition. Her Prada bag hit the floor so hard, I'm pretty sure it depreciated another $500. The contents scattered everywhere. 3 lipsticks rolled under my couch. A vape pen skittered across the hardwood. Designer sunglasses cracked against the baseboard. And there, fanned out like accusatory evidence, were papers. Documents with official seals and typewritten text. Keys jangled against the floor. I bent down, picked them up. A tag dangled from the ring. 45221 SE Woodstock, BLVD, Eastmoreland. Cornelius moved faster than I'd seen him move in 10 years of family dinners. Guess adrenaline kicks in when your wife's grand larceny gets exposed over pasta. He had Velma by the arm, practically lifting her off the ground, and they were out the door before I could stand up straight. The door slammed. The apartment went silent except for the sound of Devereaux's breathing behind me. I picked up one of the documents. My hands shook enough that the text blurred. Devereaux took it from me gently, held it up to the light. 4521 Southeast Woodstock Boulevard. His voice sounded hollow, distant. Purchase date February 18th, 2024. Buyer, Velma King Richardson. Purchase price, $850,000. He looked up at me. Dad, did you know about this? I've never seen these papers before in my life. She stole from both of us. The words came out flat, factual. From you, because it was supposed to be your house. From me, because I paid for it. I wanted to say something about explanations, about misunderstandings, about how Velma wouldn't do this, but my mouth wouldn't form the words. Among the wreckage on my floor, 3 lipsticks, a vape pen, designer sunglasses, and, oh look, keys to an $850,000 house I apparently didn't own. At least she had good taste in theft targets. Devereaux paced behind me, phone in hand, already pulling up bank records. I stayed at the kitchen counter, property deeds spread before me. The pasta grew cold in its serving bowl. The marinara sauce developed a skin. My finger traced Velma's signature on the document, a signature I taught her to write when she was 7 years old. Loops and curves I'd guided with my hand over hers, practicing her name on wide-ruled notebook paper. Devereaux said something about lawyers, police, fraud charges, but my eyes caught on something else in the documents. Margin notes, handwritten in Velma's careful script, a second address, also in Eastmoreland, also with a purchase date from last February. My daughter didn't just steal a house. She stole a house and hid it while buying herself another one. The scale of the betrayal doubled in an instant. Neither of us slept much. By 7 a.m., we were back at the kitchen table with fresh coffee, documents spread between us, both mugs already forming rings on the paper. Look at this. Devereaux tapped the purchase date with his finger. February 18th, 2024. I sent the wire transfer February 14th. Valentine's Day, remember? I thought it was poetic, giving you a home. 4 days. She moved fast. The deed lists only her name. Not yours, not even in trust for. Just Velma King Richardson, sole owner. He scrolled through his phone. Wait. Pull up your bank records. What was the wire labeled? I didn't have bank records. Devereaux pulled them up himself, logged into his account, found the transaction. Gift for J.K. house purchase, Eastmoreland property. He read it aloud. I was explicit. This isn't ambiguous. So she committed fraud. Wire fraud, actually, that's federal. The words hung in the air. Federal. My daughter, facing federal charges. I took a sip of coffee that had already gone lukewarm. Something nagged at me, a memory floating just out of reach. Last February, a year ago. What else happened last February? Then it hit me. My hand stopped midair, coffee mug frozen halfway to my mouth. Eyes unfocusing, transported back 12 months. Velma and Cornelius, showing up at my apartment, giddy with news. We bought a house. Velma had practically sung the words. In Eastmoreland. Can you believe it? Cornelius got this huge bonus at work, and we found the perfect place. I'd been happy for them, relieved even. They'd been struggling financially for years. Cornelius's consulting business had been hit or miss. Suddenly they had money. Suddenly they were moving to one of Portland's wealthiest neighborhoods. I never questioned it. Families don't always discuss finances deeply. Kids grow up, make their own money, buy their own homes. I'd felt proud. Dad? Devereaux's voice pulled me back. You okay? They bought a house last February. Velma and Cornelius. They moved to Eastmoreland around the exact same time this house was purchased. They said Cornelius got a big bonus. Devereaux's jaw muscles worked. There was no bonus. No, there wasn't. I grabbed my keys. Let's go. The drive took 15 minutes. My old Honda Civic looked shabby among the Tesla and BMW driveways lining the streets of Eastmoreland. Tree-lined boulevards, perfect lawns, houses that cost more than I'd earned in my entire theatrical career. 4521 SE Woodstock Boulevard sat behind an iron gate at the end of a long driveway. The house was massive, brick and white columns, 3 stories, probably 5,000 square feet, worth well over $1 million now, easily. I parked on the street and walked up to the gate. It was unlocked. The house had one of those fancy smart doorbells with a camera. I gave it a little wave. If Velma was monitoring her stolen property remotely, she just got a live feed of dear old Dad showing up to the crime scene. Hope she choked on her organic breakfast smoothie. I cupped my hands around my eyes and peered through the front windows. Empty. Completely empty. No furniture, no curtains, nothing. Just bare floors and echoing rooms. Can I help you? I jumped. An elderly woman stood on the sidewalk with a Pomeranian that immediately started yapping at me. The neighbor's Pomeranian took an immediate dislike to me, yapping like I was personally responsible for the housing crisis. At least someone in this neighborhood was honest about their feelings. "Oh, are you interested in this property?" She had a walker and curiosity in her eyes. "It's been on and off the market. Such a strange situation." I straightened up, tried to look casual instead of like a man confronting his daughter's theft. "I'm actually a friend of the family." "The Kings?" "The Kings. Yes, they bought it last February. Lovely couple, I thought. But they never moved in. Not once. The realtor comes by monthly to check on it, but otherwise it just sits empty." "Do you know them personally?" "Only met them at closing. The wife seemed nervous. The husband did all the talking. They mentioned something about renovations, but no contractors ever showed up." She tilted her head. "Are you thinking of buying it from them?" "Just looking. Thanks for the information." Back in the car, Devereaux waited with his phone in hand. "Empty." "Completely empty. Neighbor says they've never moved in. Not once in a whole year." "Why would she buy a house and never live in it?" "Because I would have found out." The pieces clicked together. She stole the house but was too afraid to live in it. So she bought herself a different house with separate money, probably from another source, and told everyone about that one. This one just sits here, generating property taxes she pays from who knows where. My rental apartment could fit inside this house's garage. Velma really went for the upgrade. We drove back in silence. Back at the apartment, Devereaux pulled out his phone. "I'm calling the police. This is straightforward theft." "Wait. Wait? Dad, she stole $850,000. That's not a family dispute. That's a felony." "I know what it is." I set down my coffee mug carefully. "But I need to understand why. Velma wasn't always like this. Something changed." "Who cares why? She's a thief." "I care. She's still my daughter. And if we go straight to police, we'll never know the truth. She'll lawyer up, and we'll get legal answers, not real ones." Devereaux's fist slammed the counter. The sound made me flinch. "So what do you want to do?" I paused. Something cold and creative was emerging in my mind, something from decades of building illusions on stage. I want her to feel exactly what I felt last night, confused, betrayed, blindsided by someone she trusts. My phone buzzed. I glanced at the screen. Velma again. Her texts had been coming in all morning, increasingly desperate. "Dad, please talk to me. I know you're angry, but there's context. Can we meet? Just you and me?" "Dad? Please don't do anything rash." I read them all, responded to none. Let her sit in that silence, wondering what was coming. "Dad, what are you thinking?" I walked to my bedroom closet and pulled out an old theatrical trunk. Dust motes swirled in the afternoon light. The trunk hadn't been opened in years. Inside, decades of tools from my scenic design career. Hologram projectors from a 2010 production of A Christmas Carol. Motion sensors from Dracula. Sound equipment from countless shows. Devereaux stood in the doorway watching me. "Dad, what are you doing?" I lifted out a small projector, turning it in my hands, light catching on the lens. "You know what I did for 35 years? I made people believe in ghosts. I created illusions so convincing that audiences forgot they were in a theater." I looked up at my son. "That house is sitting empty. Velma's too scared to live in it, too greedy to sell it, and now too guilty to go near it." His expression shifted as he understood where I was heading. "I think it's time my daughter's stolen house became haunted." I texted Goldie Hayes at 6 a.m. "Need your expertise. Remember the ghost effects from Macbeth? Coffee at 9? She responded in 30 seconds. "Intriguing. See you at Hawthorne Grounds." Goldie and I went back 30 years. She'd been the lead actress in a dozen productions where I designed the sets. We'd collaborated on horror shows with elaborate special effects, holograms, projections, soundscapes that made audiences forget they were watching a performance. She'd retired from acting 5 years ago, moved into real estate, but her eyes still lit up when someone mentioned theatrical illusions. I arrived at the coffee shop first, claimed a corner table away from the morning laptop crowd. Goldie swept in at 9 sharp, silver hair cut short, leather jacket that probably cost more than my monthly rent. She dropped into the chair across from me and studied my face. "Jasper King, I haven't heard from you in 3 years? Since you retired. I need help with a project, something theatrical." You're directing again? I thought you were done with... Not directing, creating. Remember that production of The Turn of the Screw, where we made the audience think they saw ghosts in the mirrors? Her fingers drummed the table. The Pepper's Ghost illusion took us 3 months to perfect. I need to make a house haunted, convincingly, professionally. She leaned forward, voice dropping. This isn't for a show, is it? It's personal. And before you ask, yes, it's legal. Mostly. A slow smile spread across her face. Tell me everything. So I did. The stolen house, Velma's betrayal, Devereaux's wire transfer, the empty mansion sitting in Eastmoreland, like evidence waiting to be discovered. Goldie listened without interrupting, that old creative spark building behind her eyes. When I finished, she sat back and laughed. You want to gaslight your daughter with professional special effects? Jasper, this is either the most brilliant or most unhinged thing I've heard this year. I'm leaning toward both. When do we start? Soon as we have a plan, and equipment, and access. She pulled out her phone, started typing notes. Motion sensors, hologram projectors, wireless speakers. We'll need power sources, concealment strategies, trigger mechanisms. This is like that Macbeth production, except now the victims are real. We spent 2 hours sketching ideas on napkins. Goldie's enthusiasm was infectious, pulling me out of the dark place I'd been inhabiting since the dinner. This wasn't just revenge. It was creation. Art with a purpose. That afternoon, I climbed the interior stairs to the 3rd floor of my building. Oswald Tucker lived in 3B, had been my neighbor for 6 years. Real estate attorney, mostly handled property disputes and title issues. I knocked at an awkward hour, 2 p.m. when most people were working, but Oswald answered in sweats and reading glasses. Jasper, everything okay? Need legal advice. Can I come in? His home office overlooked the street, walls lined with law books that probably hadn't been opened since he passed the bar. He gestured to a chair, grabbed a legal pad, settled behind his desk like we were in an official consultation. Let me get this straight. His reading glasses slid down his nose as he reviewed the documents I'd brought. Your son wired your daughter $850,000 with explicit instructions it was for your house. She bought a house and put it in her own name. Correct. And you want to sue her for fraud. Can I? Technically, yes. Practically, it's complicated. Devereaux gave the money voluntarily. There's no written contract specifying terms. He trusted family. Courts see this as breach of trust. Civil matter, not criminal fraud. What does that mean? It means years of litigation, tens of thousands in legal fees. And maybe you win, maybe you don't. Family court judges hate these cases. He set down the documents. Add in that she's your daughter, that you'll both have to testify, that family dynamics will be examined. It's ugly, expensive, and uncertain. So she gets away with it? I didn't say that. But if you want quick justice, the legal system isn't your answer. I left Oswald's apartment with a clear understanding. I was on my own. The law couldn't help me, or wouldn't, or would take so long, it wouldn't matter. I went back downstairs and started researching. Velma's Instagram was a highlight reel of lies. Beach vacation photos tagged Blessed from the same month she stole $850,000. Cornelius posted a quote about family values. I took a screenshot. Evidence? No. Satisfying? Absolutely. I scrolled through Facebook, LinkedIn, mutual friends pages, clicked through tagged photos, read comments, built a timeline. Then I called Diana Chen, an old friend who knew Velma from yoga class. Diana, this is awkward, but I need to ask about Velma and Cornelius. Oh, Jasper, how are you? I heard Devereaux was in town. Did Velma mention anything unusual happening with them last year? Financial changes? Her pause told me everything. Well, Cornelius had some health thing. Velma was really stressed but wouldn't talk about it. They disappeared for like 2 months. Health thing? She wouldn't say, but they came back different, quieter, and suddenly they had that new house. Thanks, Diana. Don't mention I asked. Everything okay? I hung up without answering. 2 months disappeared. Medical issues. Sudden money. The pieces weren't fitting together yet, but they were accumulating. That night, alone in my apartment at 2 a.m., I made my biggest mistake. I'd found a YouTube tutorial about phone monitoring apps, software parents used to track teenagers. Turns out, YouTube tutorials from guys named TechNinja20 aren't reliable sources for covert operations. Who knew? I followed the instructions anyway, crafted an email to Velma disguised as a photo-sharing link. Thought you'd want these pictures from Thanksgiving. Sent it from a new email address she wouldn't recognize. My phone buzzed an hour later. Not a response from Velma. A system notification. Your number has been blocked. She'd detected the malware attempt, shown it to someone who confirmed it was suspicious. And now I'd tipped my hand, revealed I was actively trying to surveil her. The element of surprise, gone. I threw the phone onto the couch, paced my apartment, ran my hands through my gray hair until it stood up in all directions. Called myself an idiot out loud to the empty room. Qley showed up 20 minutes after I texted her in panic. Found me still pacing, still cursing my impatience. I wanted to know what they were saying, what they were planning, I explained. Now she knows I'm watching. Qley didn't lecture me, just perched on the arm of my couch and said, So we adjust. Theater is all about improvisation. You lost direct communication. Fine. That means she can't anticipate your next move. She's paranoid now, waiting for something to happen. We use that. I took a breath, nodded. Then we moved to the next act. And this time, I don't make contact until I want her to know I'm there. The next morning, Qley spread blueprints across my kitchen table. Hand-drawn floor plans of 4521 SE Woodstock Boulevard that she'd sketched from memory after I showed her the address. I sold a house 3 doors down from this place 5 years ago, she said. I'd forgotten she'd done real estate after retiring from theater. I walked through this exact property during the open house. I remember the layout. Her finger traced the basement stairs. There's a window here, east side, hidden behind overgrown rhododendrons. Doesn't lock properly. The seller mentioned it but never fixed it before closing. If you needed to get inside without keys, she looked up at me. We could be in and out in 3 hours. Install everything before they ever think to check the property. Devereaux's voice crackled through my phone speaker. I'd put him on during Qley's explanation. You're talking about breaking and entering. Qley didn't blink. I'm talking about set construction in an unconventional venue. My hand hovered over the blueprint, over that basement window, over the point of no return. A memory surfaced. 15 years ago, recovering from surgery, Velma staying at my apartment to care for me. We'd watched old movies together, laughed at inside jokes from her childhood. She'd made my favorite soup every day for a week. What changed her? When did the daughter who cared become the daughter who stole? My finger touched the blueprint, right on that basement window. Let's do it. The hardware store opened at 7 a.m. Qley and I were waiting in the parking lot at 6:55. My Honda loaded with empty bags for transporting equipment discreetly. Inside, we moved through the aisles with purpose. Motion sensors, 3 of them. Wireless speakers. Compact models with good sound projection. Extension cords. Power strips. Mounting hardware. The employee at checkout watched us load everything onto the counter. This is a lot of equipment for a home project. You doing a security system? Community theater production, I said. We're doing a modern A Christmas Carol. Lots of ghost effects. In February? Qley jumped in smoothly. Pre-production. We mount the show in November. Smart theaters start early. You'll need extension cords for this many devices. What's your power supply situation? The venue has multiple circuits. We're professionals. Been doing this for years. He shrugged, rang up the total. That'll be $847.63. Qley leaned toward me as I swiped my card, almost as much as a down payment on a stolen house. $847 to terrorize my own daughter. Parenting advice columns never covered this scenario. Back at my apartment, we loaded the real equipment, the theatrical gear from my old trunk. Hologram projectors I'd used in a 2010 production of A Christmas Carol, irony not lost on me, motion sensors from Dracula, audio equipment from countless shows, 35 years of accumulated tools, finally getting one last performance. Monday evening arrived cold and dark. We dressed in black, work gloves tucked in pockets, and drove to Eastmoreland at 7 p.m. Parked 2 blocks away, walked to the property carrying equipment in dark canvas bags that could have been gym gear. The rhododendrons behind the house had grown wild, branches thick as my wrist blocking the basement window. Qley produced wire cutters from her pocket and went to work while I kept watch on the street. The snapping branches sounded loud in the quiet neighborhood, but no lights came on, no dogs barked. The window sat there behind the cleared branches. Just as Goldie remembered, she pushed on the frame. It didn't budge. Pushed harder, angling upward. Something clicked, and the window swung inward. "After you," she whispered. I spent 35 years building theatrical sets. Never thought I'd use those skills for breaking and entering. My theater union would be so proud. Or horrified. Probably both. My knees cracked as I squeezed through the window, dropping into musty darkness below. Cobwebs caught in my hair. My feet hit concrete, and I fumbled for my phone's flashlight. The basement spread before me, empty, dusty, exactly as abandoned as the rest of the house. Goldie handed equipment down piece by piece. Projectors wrapped in towels, sensor boxes, portable speakers, a drill, mounting hardware, my old microphone from recording session work. We worked methodically, Goldie following me up the basement stairs with bags slung over her shoulders. The house felt massive in the darkness. Our footsteps echoed on hardwood floors. I tried not to think about property values, about what this place would mean to me if things had been different. Just focused on the work. We started in the main hallway. I drilled tiny holes for sensor mounts, hands steady despite circumstances, muscle memory from decades of set construction. Goldie positioned the motion detectors, tested the angles, adjusted until she was satisfied. "This one catches movement from the front door," she explained, marking positions with tape. "This one monitors the staircase. This one covers the kitchen entrance. Anyone walking through gets triggered." The audio equipment went next. Wireless speakers hidden behind crown molding, tucked into closet corners, mounted in the basement ceiling. I'd recorded the audio track earlier that day, sitting in my apartment bathroom because the acoustics were best. Speaking my own words into the microphone, voice steady and accusing. "Why did you betray me, Velma? And I know what you did, and this was supposed to be my home." Hearing my disembodied voice play through the empty house sent chills down my spine. Goldie triggered the motion sensor accidentally during setup, and my own voice scared me. If I give myself a heart attack with my own haunting equipment, the irony will kill me faster than the cardiac arrest. The hologram projector was last, the most complex setup. Goldie adjusted angles while I walked through the hallway, testing the throw distances. When she was satisfied, she triggered it manually. A shadowy figure appeared on the wall, distorted, accusing, recognizably human, but wrong, somehow. My silhouette stretched and warped. She grinned. "Perfect." We were out by 10 p.m. 3 hours, exactly as planned. Goldie climbed through the window first, and I handed equipment bags up to her, then hauled myself out with muscles that protested the whole way. We replaced the rhododendron branches as best we could, walked back to the car without speaking. "Wednesday morning," Devereaux called. "The report came back. I'm forwarding it now." I pulled up his email on my laptop while he stayed on the line. The private investigator's work was thorough. 20 pages of financial records, credit reports, property documents, timeline reconstructions. $450,000 in debt, Devereaux said. Credit cards, medical bills, personal loans. "Dad, they're drowning." "Medical bills? For what?" The investigator couldn't get details. HIPAA protection. But there's a paper trail to Oregon Health and Science University. Big charges starting March 2024, continuing through September. Right after they bought the house. Or maybe right before. Maybe that's why they needed the money. I scrolled through page after page of collection notices, court filings for unpaid debts, credit card statements with balances maxed out. The numbers painted a picture of desperation, but not the whole picture. The medical specifics stayed locked behind privacy laws. "Then why not just ask?" I said. "Why steal? Pride? Shame? I don't know, Dad, but they're desperate." 20 years ago surfaced in my memory without warning, working 3 jobs to pay Velma's college tuition, scenic designer by day, night janitor at a hospital, weekend handyman, falling asleep at the kitchen table over bills, Velma coming home for spring break, finding me like that, making coffee and sitting across from me with tears in her eyes. "Dad, I can take a semester off, get a job, help with..." And me cutting her off. "No, you're going to finish. You're going to have the opportunities I didn't." She'd hugged me hard that day. "I'll never forget what you're doing for me. Never." But she had forgotten. or something had changed her. Or maybe I never knew her as well as I thought. Thursday afternoon, I sat at a public library computer and typed out an anonymous letter. Hunt and peck style, careful not to leave fingerprints on the keyboard. The house is waiting for you. It's time to move in. Printed it on library paper, no return address. Drove to the downtown post office and mailed it from there, untraceable. Friday evening, my phone buzzed. Unknown number, text message. We know you're behind this. Leave us alone or we'll get a restraining order. I stared at the screen, showed it to Goldie, who'd come over to finalize our monitoring plan. She read it and laughed. They think you sent the letter. They have no idea what's actually waiting for them. I didn't laugh. That's what worries me. They're going to walk into that house with no warning. That was the whole point, wasn't it? My hand kept reaching for the phone, hovering over the power button for the remote kill switch we'd installed. Tempted to shut everything down, call this off, find some other way. But I didn't. Not yet. The system stayed live, armed, waiting. Somewhere across town, in their actual house, Velma was reading my letter, her hands probably shaking, coffee mug tilting dangerously, fear building in her chest. Cornelius was probably dismissing it, calling me an old fool, insisting they had nothing to worry about. They had everything to worry about. They just didn't know it yet. Cornelius threw clothes into suitcases Friday afternoon, aggressive energy radiating off him like heat. Velma hesitated at every item, hands hovering over hangers. Do we really need to do this now? We've owned this house for a year. If we don't establish residency, it looks suspicious. Suspicious to who? We're already caught. My brother knows. My father knows. Legally, it's ours. If we're living in it, using it, we have more claim if they try to sue. Plus, he checked his phone calculator, we can rent the basement suite for $1,500 a month. Maybe the upstairs bedroom for another $1,000. Rent? You want strangers living in my father's house? It's our house now, and we're drowning. This is a life raft. It's a crime scene. It's 4 bedrooms and 3 bathrooms in Eastmoreland. Pack a bag. We're going tonight. Their car pulled up to 4521 SE Woodstock at dusk, headlights sweeping across the massive empty house. Velma's hand shook as she unlocked the front door with keys that had burned in her purse for a year. The house smelled of dust and abandonment. They set up an inflatable mattress in the master bedroom, ate Thai takeout straight from containers on the kitchen counter. No furniture, no curtains, just echoing rooms and their guilt. Velma lay awake at 2 a.m. staring at the ceiling, already unable to sleep in the stolen house. At 2:14 a.m. exactly, something clicked, imperceptible, mechanical. Then Jasper's voice filled the darkness, not from one direction, but everywhere, layered with theatrical reverb. Velma, why did you take my home? She bolted upright, heart hammering. Cornelius! Cornelius! He groaned, rolled over. What? What is it? Did you hear that? The voice, Dad's voice. I don't hear anything. The voice came again, echoing through walls. I'm here. In the walls. In your guilt. There. You had to hear that. Cornelius listened, eyes adjusting to darkness. I don't hear anything, Velma. You're freaking yourself out. The hallway. There's someone in the hallway. I saw... She pointed. A shadow figure stood on the wall, human-shaped, distorted. Jasper's silhouette stretched and warped, accusing. Cornelius grabbed his phone, stumbled out of bed in boxer shorts and a t-shirt. His flashlight beam swept through the empty hallway. Nothing. He checked windows, locked. Doors, locked from inside. It's an old house. It makes noises. That wasn't a noise. That was his voice. And that shadow. There's nobody here. He climbed back into bed. Go to sleep. She didn't. Couldn't. Lay there until dawn, painted gray light through curtainless windows. Saturday morning, Velma shuffled into the living room and froze. A silver picture frame sat on the mantel, prominent, positioned where morning light hit it perfectly. She walked closer, recognized the photo. Her at 6 years old, Jasper beside her, both grinning at the camera. They hadn't brought any photos, just a mattress and takeout. Cornelius, come here now. What? This photo. Where did this come from? He walked in, coffee mug in hand. What photo? Her hands shook as she held it up. This. Me and Dad. We didn't bring any photos. Maybe the previous owners left. There were no previous owners. We bought it empty. She flipped the frame. Words written on the back in handwriting that looked eerily like her father's. Remember when I loved you? Cornelius took the frame, examined it. This is him. He's doing this. He's been in this house, or someone's been here for him. He knows we moved in. That's impossible. We locked everything. Nobody has keys except what? The realtor? The inspector? I don't know. Velma dialed Devereaux's number. Voicemail. Dialed again. Voicemail. 6 times in 10 minutes, each call going unanswered. Desperation building with each failed connection. She grabbed her keys. I'm going to Dad's apartment. Velma, he needs to know I'm sorry. We need to talk. 25 minutes later, she stood outside Jasper's building on SE 34th Avenue, climbed the stairs to his first-floor unit, knocked. Dad? Dad, it's Velma. I know you're angry. She knocked harder, hollow echo of emptiness. Dad, please, we need to talk. I can explain everything. The doorknob didn't turn. She pressed her ear to the door. Silence. Peered through the mail slot. Lights off. Mail piled on the floor inside. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I didn't know how else to... Her voice broke. Okay. I'm leaving a note. Please call me. She scribbled on paper from her purse, taped it to the door, walked away whispering to herself, Where did you go? You've lived here for 15 years. 20 minutes away, Jasper sat in Goldie's living room, laptop open, watching the doorbell camera feed he'd installed before leaving. $40 at Best Buy. Velma probably paid more for her guilty conscience therapy sessions. Best $40 I ever spent. He watched his daughter cry on the screen, watched her tape the note, watched her drive away defeated. Poured bourbon, didn't taste it. Just watched his phone light up with her messages. Goldie appeared beside him. She looks terrible. When's the last time she slept? Not my problem. Jasper, she's your daughter. She's a thief who stole from her own family. And you're a father torturing his child with ghost stories. Where's the line? He took a drink. I'll know it when I see it. Will you? Because from here it looks like you're enjoying this. He watched Velma's car disappear off screen. I'm not enjoying it, but I'm not stopping either. Sunday morning, 3:47 a.m. Motion sensor triggered again on Jasper's laptop screen. Velma wandering the house alone, phone in hand. He switched to the cellular interceptor Devereaux's PI had installed, legally gray, monitoring data through the house's network. Her text message appeared. I need to talk to someone about Dad. Something's wrong. He's been gone for a week and nobody's seen him. Should I file a missing person report? Sent to Diana. Jasper's blood ran cold. Missing person report meant police investigation. They'd find him at Goldie's. They'd ask why he left. The whole revenge plan could unravel, and worse, he'd look like the guilty one hiding. He grabbed his phone, started to call Velma to stop her, then froze. He'd blocked her number. She'd blocked his after the spyware attempt. They couldn't communicate even if he wanted to. Goldie appeared in the doorway in her bathrobe. What happened? He turned the laptop toward her. She's going to call the police, and I can't stop her. Goldie made coffee at 4 a.m. while Jasper paced her kitchen. If she files a missing person report, police come looking, they find me here. They ask questions. So you go home, show your face, prove you're fine. And blow the whole thing? She's cracking. Another week and she'll confess everything. Another week and you'll be explaining to cops why you disappeared, and your daughter's having a nervous breakdown in a house full of hidden cameras. I'll make an appearance. Quick! Then disappear again. Goldie set down her mug. Jasper, this is getting dangerous. Not legally, psychologically. For her. For you. She stole $850,000. She deserves dangerous. Does she? Or does she deserve honesty, consequences, maybe therapy? This is starting to feel like torture. It's justice. You keep saying that. I'm not sure you believe it anymore. Sunday, 5:30 a.m. Pre-dawn darkness. Jasper slipped into his apartment building through the back entrance. Mrs. Chen from 2B came out of the laundry room with a basket. Saw him in the hallway. Oh, Jasper, we were worried. Mrs. Chen grabbed my arm. Jasper, where you been? We thought maybe you died. I told her I was visiting family. She nodded like that explained the full beard I'd grown specifically to look more haunted house worthy. He climbed to his apartment, unlocked the door, turned on lights, set timers, stood visible in the window for 60 seconds, took out trash, checked mail with neighbors watching, proof of life established, then drove back to Goldie's, feeling like a fugitive in his own life. Over the next 3 days, he intensified the haunting, clicked through laptop interfaces selecting audio files. Velma, I taught you better than this. Remember the time I taught you to ride a bike on Hawthorne? You trusted me then. Camera feeds showed Velma pacing the house in the same pajamas for 3 days straight, hair unwashed, dark circles like bruises under her eyes. Cornelius slammed kitchen cabinets, phone pressed to ear, arguing with credit card companies about minimum payments. Monday afternoon, Goldie snuck into the house during their grocery run, key copied from a locksmith weeks ago, placed a theatrical script on Velma's pillow, the show about guilt and redemption that Jasper had designed in 2009. Worn pages, his handwritten notes in margins. Tuesday, Velma found it. Camera feed showed her reading highlighted passages, recognition dawning, sinking to the floor with the script clutched to her chest. She read aloud to the empty house. The guilt follows you, not because someone places it there, but because you placed it in yourself. Every locked door, every darkened hallway, every creak in the night, it's not the house that's haunted. It's you. Then whispered, Dad, I know you're doing this. I know these are your words. I remember this play. I was 17. You let me read lines with you at kitchen table. She traced his margin note. Velma helped with this scene. Brilliant instincts. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. But I can't undo it. The money's gone. The treatments cost everything, and Cornelius is too proud to admit we failed. Treatments? Jasper leaned closer to the screen, volume up. What treatments? That afternoon, Velma met Diana at a coffee shop. Jasper couldn't monitor that, but Diana's concern showed when Velma returned, text messages flying. Tuesday evening, Velma called an electrician. The electrician spent 2 hours checking every outlet, breaker, and wire, found nothing wrong, charged them $350. On the way out, I watched him make the sign of the cross. He wasn't even Catholic, just covering all bases. Tuesday afternoon, system triggered during daylight hours. Velma alone in the house. Jasper's voice. I taught you better than this. She sat down on the hallway floor instead of running, talked back to the empty house, calm despite tears. I know, Dad, you did teach me better. You taught me about honesty and integrity, and working hard. You worked 3 jobs so I could go to college. I remember all of it. She paused, composing herself. But you never taught me what to do when someone you love is dying and insurance won't cover it, and you have 72 hours to come up with $750,000 or watch him die. You never taught me that. She sat there 20 minutes, explaining everything to silence. Jasper sat frozen at Goldie's house, listening. Dying? Insurance? $750,000? Wednesday morning, Cornelius climbed into the attic investigating sounds, found a motion sensor mounted in the rafters, held the small device in his palm, eyes widening with understanding. He stormed downstairs. Velma! What? What's wrong now? This. He thrust the sensor at her. It's a motion sensor. Wireless. Commercial grade. There are probably others. This whole haunting is fake. But the voices, the shadows, speakers, projectors. Your father worked in theater for 40 years. He knows exactly how to do this. He's been inside, installing equipment. Him or someone working for him. This is harassment. It's illegal. Breaking and entering surveillance. We can press charges. Press charges against my father? He's terrorizing us. Yes, press charges. I'm calling him. Right now. Cornelius scrolled through Velma's phone. Found Jasper's blocked contact. Unblocked it. Dialed. Jasper's phone buzzed. Unknown number. He answered cautiously. Hello? I know it's you. I know what you're doing. Cornelius, been a while. Cut the act. The motion sensors, the speakers. Very creative. Also very illegal. I don't know what you're talking about. Breaking and entering. Unlawful surveillance. Harassment. Should I continue? You're living in a house bought with stolen money. Should we compare felonies? Meet me. Tomorrow, 10 a.m., Laurelhurst Park. We settle this face-to-face. Or what? Or I call Portland police and report that you've been breaking into our property, installing surveillance equipment, and stalking my wife. Long pause. What do you want? To end this, one way or another. Jasper texted Devereaux immediately. Cornelius just called. Wants to meet. Don't go. He threatened police about the equipment. He's bluffing. He can't call cops without admitting the house is stolen. But he found the sensors. Plan's compromised. So what's next? I meet him, hear him out. Dad, this could be a trap. It could be surrender. Thursday morning, 9:45 a.m., Laurelhurst Park. Jasper sat on a bench overlooking the lake, watching joggers and dog walkers pass. Normal people living normal lives. Goldie parked 300 feet away with binoculars, insisted on being backup. Phone buzzed. Devereaux. Don't admit to anything. He has no proof without admitting his own crimes. At 9:58, Cornelius appeared on the path. He looked worse than in camera feeds. Weight lost, skin gray, moving with visible effort. For the first time, Jasper saw him not as the antagonist, but as someone who might actually be sick. They made eye contact. Cornelius walked over, sat down on the opposite end of the bench, careful distance between them. Neither spoke. Just two men on a park bench, strangers to anyone watching. Finally, Cornelius broke the silence. I'm dying. Jasper's prepared response evaporated. What? Cornelius pulled out a medical file from inside his jacket, handed it over. Pancreatic cancer. Stage 3 when they caught it. March last year. Experimental treatment at OHSU cost $780,000. Insurance covered $40,000. We had 72 hours to come up with the rest, or I'd be dead by August. He pointed at the file. It's all there. Diagnosis, treatment plan, bills. I'm in remission now. Velma saved my life with that stolen house. Jasper opened the file. OHSU letterhead. The diagnosis in clinical language. Astronomical numbers. Cornelius continued. So before you finish destroying her, you should know. She didn't do it for greed. She did it because I was dying, and she couldn't watch it happen. Velma's hand shook as she dialed 911. Tuesday morning, 9:47 a.m. She'd slept maybe 3 hours in the past 72. Please, someone needs to help us. Someone is stalking us in our own house. Is the intruder there now, ma'am? I don't know. Maybe? It happens at random times. We're not safe here. Are you in immediate danger? Velma paused, looked around the empty living room. I don't know how to answer that. Detective Curtis Palmer arrived 40 minutes later. Methodical, thorough. Flashlight sweeping through every room, checking windows, testing locks. Jasper, monitoring from Goldie's house, frantically clicked through his laptop interface. Shut down all systems, kill power, disable remotes. Detective Palmer checked every corner with his flashlight like he was hunting Bigfoot. I'd hidden $847 worth of theater equipment in that house. He found nothing. Apparently, Portland PD doesn't train for geriatric scenic designer psychological warfare scenarios. Palmer's notepad filled with observations. No signs of forced entry. No surveillance equipment visible. Residents appeared stressed. Mrs. Richardson, I've checked every room. Closet, window. All locks are secure. No signs of forced entry or tampering. But the voices, we've both heard them. And someone left a photograph, and my father's old script. Where are these items now? Cornelius threw them away. He was angry. Palmer's expression softened with professional concern. I see. Ma'am, has there been recent stress? Family conflicts? Financial pressure? Her voice came out small. Yes. Sometimes our minds create what we fear. I'd strongly recommend speaking with a counselor. He handed her a card. There's no crime here. But there might be something a therapist could help with. After he left, Velma sat on the porch steps, head in hands, makeup streaked. Neighbors peeked through curtains. She'd been gaslit by reality itself. The equipment had worked, but now there was no evidence. Cornelius found her there an hour later. You called the police? Do you understand what you've done? I needed help. I can't live like this. You made us look insane. The detective thinks you're having a breakdown. Maybe I am. Maybe your pride and my guilt have driven me crazy. His finger pointed at her, voice rising. My pride? You're the one who stole from your family. I was just trying to survive. You told me to do it. You said we had no choice. I never told you to steal. I told you we needed help, and you made the worst possible decision. Velma flinched, backed against the refrigerator. I was saving your life. and destroying mine in the process. I can't sleep, can't work, can't think straight, because you're seeing ghosts everywhere. Get out. What? Get out of this room. Get away from me. I can't look at you right now. The next day, 3 real estate agents walked through. Each one lowered their estimate. By the third guy, Cornelius looked like he wanted to sell the realtor instead. The final agent spread comparable listings across the kitchen table. I've pulled recent comps in Eastmoreland. The market's softened considerably since last year. We paid $850,000. What can we get? In current conditions, I'd list at $779,000. Expect offers around $720,000. Velma's tears fell onto the paperwork, smudging ink. That's $130,000 less than plus my commission, closing costs, transfer taxes. You're looking at net proceeds around $680,000. Cornelius's calculator clicked. We borrowed $450,000 against our other property, using this as collateral. If we sell for $680,000, we're still $220,000 in debt after paying the loan. I'm sorry, it's a difficult market, Velma whispered to no one. We stole a house and somehow lost money. They stole an $850,000 house and somehow managed to lose $130,000 on it. I didn't even know that was mathematically possible. That takes special talent. Court papers arrived Thursday. Hearing set for May 3rd. Oswald called with the update. Hearing set for May 3rd. Judge will review the wire transfer documentation, email correspondence, everything. What are our chances? 90% you win. Devereaux's emails explicitly state the money was for your house. She diverted it to her own name. Clear breach of trust. And if we win, house transfers to Devereaux's name, or they're ordered to pay restitution. They can't pay, so the house sells. Proceeds go to Devereaux. They're left with nothing plus their existing debt. Total destruction. Legal victory. Whether that's the same thing is between you and your conscience. That evening, Jasper sat in Goldie's living room. Laptop dark. Poured bourbon. Didn't drink it. You won, Goldie said. The house will come back to Devereaux. They're drowning financially. Legally, you have the upper hand. He stared at the dark screen. Then why does it feel like losing? Because revenge isn't what we think it'll be. It doesn't fill the hole they created. I wanted her to understand, to feel what I felt. She does, and more. You wanted justice, but this... She gestured at the monitoring equipment. This is something else. She stole $850,000 to save her husband's life. You'd have done the same for her mother if she were alive. That's different. Is it? Or are we just better at justifying our own desperation? Friday evening, alone in the empty house, Velma found the motion sensor Cornelius had discovered earlier. Held it in her palm. Her father had physically come here, installed this, planned her torture meticulously. The same hands that taught her to ride a bike, that built her childhood dollhouse, that held her when her mother died, those hands set this trap. She sat down on the floor and whispered to the cameras she now knew were there. I'm sorry, Daddy. I know you're listening. I'm so sorry. You're right. I deserve this. I deserve all of it. Not crying anymore, beyond tears, just confessing to walls, to cameras, to the father who she finally understood would never forgive her. 17 years ago surfaced in Jasper's memory. 25-year-old Velma bringing Cornelius to meet him. Dad, he's wonderful. You'll love him. Jasper had hugged them both, welcoming him to the family. Wednesday evening, Jasper's phone rang. Unknown number. He almost didn't answer. Hello? Silence. Heavy breathing, then, Mr. King? This is Craig Richardson, Cornelius's brother. We've never met. Jasper sat up straight. I'm calling because Cornelius asked me to. He's in the hospital. Providence, Portland. His blood ran cold. What happened? He collapsed this afternoon. They're running tests, but the doctors are asking about his cancer history, about whether he's been under unusual stress. They're concerned about relapse. Craig's voice broke. Look, I don't know what's happening between you all. Cornelius won't explain. But Velma called me crying, saying she needs help, saying it's all falling apart. I'm just asking, whatever this family fight is about, can it wait until we know if my brother's going to live? Hospital sounds in the background. Intercoms. Beeping machines. Velma's there now. Room 437. She's alone. I'm flying in tomorrow morning, but tonight, she's just sitting there alone, and I think she needs family. Any family. He hung up. Goldie emerged from the kitchen. Who was that? Cornelius is in the hospital. Possible cancer relapse. Velma's there alone. Her hand covered her mouth. Oh, God. Jasper grabbed his coat. I need to go. To the hospital? I don't know. I need to drive. I need to think. But his hands were already shaking with the keys. The email arrived Thursday morning. Subject: Final Comprehensive Report. Richardson Medical Shot Financial History. 73 pages. I paid $5,800 for it. That's about $80 per page. For that price, it should have been leather-bound and included a massage. But the first page alone was worth every dollar. Patient: Richardson Cornelius James. Diagnosis: pancreatic adenocarcinoma. Stage 3. Date: March 14, 2024. Prognosis: 15% 5-year survival rate. Recommended treatment: experimental immunotherapy protocol, Oregon Health and Science University. Estimated cost: $780,000. Insurance coverage: $40,000. My hands trembled scrolling through billing statements, insurance denials, a timeline that made my stomach drop. March 15th to 17. Velma liquidated everything. Maxed credit cards for $200,000. Personal loans $150,000. Borrowed from friends $50,000. Total raised $400,000. Still $380,000 short. March 18th, Devereaux's email arrived asking her to find a house for me in Eastmoreland. Would send $850,000. March 19th, she told Devereaux she'd found the perfect house. Gave him wiring instructions. March 21st, treatment deposit paid. Cornelius began experimental immunotherapy. I drove to Goldie's at 7 a.m. without calling first, still in pajamas under my coat. She found me at her kitchen table with the report printed out, pages spread like evidence. Pancreatic cancer, stage 3, 15% chance of survival. Goldie read over my shoulder. Diagnosis came March 14th last year. Devereaux's email about buying you a house came March 18th. 4 days. She had 4 days between learning her husband was dying and seeing a way to save him. The treatment worked. He's in remission. She saved his life by stealing from mine. Goldie pulled out a chair. What would you have done if it was your wife? If someone you loved was dying and you saw $850,000 you could access? Long pause. I'd like to think I would have asked. Explained. Been honest. Would you? Or would you have been too proud? Too ashamed? Too desperate? I'll never know. But she should have asked. Yes, she should have. But desperation makes thieves of honest people. I sat there another hour, then logged into the haunting system control panel. Clicked, disable all systems. Confirmation box? Are you sure? Hovered over yes for 30 seconds. Clicked. I clicked disable all systems on my theatrical haunting rig. $1,000 of equipment rendered useless. Goldie said it was the most expensive moral epiphany she'd ever witnessed. Friday afternoon, I met with Oswald. You want to offer what? Let me make sure I understand. They return the house. You drop all financial claims. They walk away with 0 penalties. Yes. Jasper, you have a winning case. They owe Devereaux $850,000 in restitution. You could destroy them. I know. Then why show mercy? Because I learned why she did it. And while it doesn't excuse the theft, it explains the desperation. Courts don't care about explanations. I'm not a court. I'm a father. And I'm tired of destroying my daughter. Oswald looked at me like I'd suggested we settle by playing rock, paper, scissors. You want to give away your winning case? I told him yes. He muttered something about billable hours walking away. Lawyers hate clean consciences. I called Devereaux that evening. You're letting them off? After everything? I'm offering settlement, not forgiveness. Dad, they stole my money. Your house. And you want to just let it go? I want the house back. I want this to end. I don't want to spend the next 2 years in court watching your sister disintegrate. She made her choice? She made a terrible choice in an impossible situation. Her husband was dying, Dev. Stage 3 pancreatic cancer. 15% survival chance. Pause. I didn't know that. Neither did I. Neither did you. She didn't tell anyone because Cornelius was too proud to admit weakness. So she stole instead of asking for help? Yes. And that was wrong. But I understand it now, and I'm choosing to offer a way out that doesn't destroy what's left of our family. Long silence. If this is what you want, I'll support it. But I'm not ready to talk to her. Not yet. I know. Neither am I, but maybe someday. Saturday evening, I drove to 4521 SE Woodstock. 10 p.m. Neighborhood dark and quiet. Envelope in hand. My handwritten letter offering settlement. Placed it against the door. Small rock holding it down. Sat in my car across the street for an hour. Watching. Waiting. Her car pulled up. Returning from the hospital. Exhausted walk to the door. She noticed the envelope. Bent to pick it up. Recognized my handwriting on the outside. Velma. Stood on the porch reading by phone flashlight. I'd written, Velma, I know about Cornelius. I know about the cancer, the treatment, the impossible choice you faced. I know you had 72 hours and $740,000 between him, living and dying. I know you tried everything before taking DeVero's money. I know you saved his life. And I know it cost you everything else, your integrity, your family, your peace. I don't forgive what you did. Theft is still theft, even when motivated by love. But I understand why you did it, and understanding changes how I move forward. We have two paths. First path, court on May 3rd. You lose. House goes to Devereaux. You're ordered to pay restitution you can't afford. Bankruptcy. Your marriage probably won't survive. Second path, settlement. You voluntarily deed the house to Devereaux. No restitution demanded. No financial penalties. You walk away with your existing debt, but no additional legal consequences. Clean break. I'm offering this once. Not because you deserve mercy, you don't, but because I'm tired of being the instrument of your destruction. Respond within 72 hours. Dad. Her knees buckled. She sat down on the porch steps. Her shoulders shook, not from fear this time, but from overwhelming shame and grief. She read it again. I understand. 3 words she didn't know she desperately needed. She whispered to the empty street, I don't deserve this. Then louder, I don't deserve this. But there was no one to hear, just a woman sitting on the steps of a stolen house, holding a letter from the father she betrayed, crying from shame because he understood her better than she wanted to be understood. Sunday morning, my voicemail notification lit up. Velma's number, unblocked, her voice thick with tears. Dad, I got your letter. I don't know what to say except I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. You're right about everything. I made a terrible choice. I should have asked you. Should have asked Dev. Should have been honest. I was just so scared and so desperate, and I thought I could fix it later. Pay it back somehow. Make it right. But I couldn't, and I destroyed everything. I accept the settlement. I'll deed the house to Devereaux. I'll sign whatever you need. But I need you to know I never stopped loving you. Even when I was betraying you, I loved you. I just loved Cornelius too, and I couldn't watch him die. I couldn't. That's not an excuse. Just the truth. Thank you for understanding even though you can't forgive. That's more than I deserve. Monday morning, 9:30 a.m. My phone rang. Velma's number. I stared at it, thumb hovering over the answer button. 4 rings. 5. I didn't answer. Voicemail, then text. Dad, I signed the settlement papers. Oswald has them. The house is Devereaux's. But I need to tell you something in person. Can we meet? Please. Just once. There's something about Cornelius you don't know. Something that changes everything again. I read it 3 times. What could possibly be left? Goldie read over my shoulder. What now? I don't know. Finally typed. Wednesday, 2 p.m., Laurelhurst Park. Same bench as before. You come alone. Her response immediate. Thank you. I will be there. And Dad, I know you don't forgive me, but thank you for understanding. That means more than you know. Goldie touched my shoulder. Whatever she tells you Wednesday, remember, you already decided to show mercy. Don't let new information make you regret that choice. I nodded but didn't answer, because part of me wondered, what if there's something that does change everything? What if the story I think I understand is still incomplete? Wednesday couldn't come fast enough, and yet I dreaded it. Wednesday, 2 p.m., Laurelhurst Park. Overcast spring day, joggers passing, families at the playground in the distance. Velma arrived early. I watched from my car as she sat on the bench, checking her phone every 30 seconds, wiping her palms on her jeans. Goldie waited beside me. You ready for this? No. Good. That means you're being honest. I walked across the park at exactly 2 o'clock. Hands in jacket pockets, shoulders squared, steps heavier than they used to be. Velma saw me coming, stood, then sat again, unsure of protocol. I sat down, 3 feet of space between us, both staring at the lake, neither making eye contact. "Thank you for coming," she said. I didn't respond. "I need you to understand what happened. Not to excuse it, just to understand." "I'm listening." March 14th last year, Cornelius was diagnosed. Pancreatic cancer, stage 3, 15% chance of survival. They said experimental treatment was his only option. Immunotherapy at OHSU. Cost $780,000. Insurance covered $40,000. I kept looking at the lake. "Go on." We had 72 hours to pay or lose the treatment slot. I liquidated everything. Credit cards, loans, borrowed from friends. Got to $510,000. Still needed another $270,000. Her voice cracked. I was sitting at kitchen table crying when Devereaux's email came through. The email about buying me a house. $850,000. The exact amount we needed plus some to cover immediate debt. It felt like fate. Like the universe giving me a way to save him. "So you took it." So I took it, and I told myself I'd pay it back. Sell the house later, return the money, nobody would know. But the debt spiral, the medical bills kept coming, and I couldn't. Her shoulders shook. I destroyed everything trying to save one thing. My jaw worked, fighting emotion, maintaining control. "You could have asked me. Dad, you live on Social Security. $1,800 a month. I couldn't." "You could have asked me. I would have given you every penny I had. Would have taken out a reverse mortgage. Would have called everyone I knew. You didn't even try. I know. You could have asked Devereaux honestly, told him the truth. He would have helped. Cornelius wouldn't let me. He said asking for help meant admitting weakness. He'd rather die than be pitied. So instead, you stole." I turned to look at her for the first time. "And you know what the worst part is? I spent weeks making you pay for that choice." Her hand flew to her mouth. "What do you mean?" "The haunting. The voices saying my name. The shadows in hallways. The photographs appearing. That was me, Velma. All of it. Theater equipment, motion sensors, audio systems. I broke into that house and installed a ghost." She stared at me, eyes widening, then, unexpectedly, laughed. Bitter, exhausted laughter through tears. "Of course it was you. I should have known. You spent 40 years creating illusions. I wanted you to feel what I felt, betrayed, haunted, watched. Well, congratulations, it worked." Footsteps on the path. Cornelius approaching from the parking lot, walking slowly, still recovering physically. He sat on the opposite end of the bench, creating a triangle. Head bowed, hands clasped, defeated. "Mr. King, I need to say something." I barely glanced at him. "I'm listening." "This is my fault," I pressured Velma. "I was terrified of dying, and I made her do terrible things. If you want to hate someone, hate me. I don't hate anyone anymore. I'm too tired for hate. Can you forgive us? I can offer you a way forward. That's not the same as forgiveness." I pulled out the settlement document I'd brought, placed it on the bench between us, made Velma reach for it. "This. You deed the house to Devereaux voluntarily. No restitution demands. Court case dismissed. You walk away with your existing debt, but no additional legal consequences." Velma's tears dropped onto the paper. "That's more than we deserve." "It's mercy, not absolution. There's a difference." Cornelius leaned forward. "What about our debt? $450,000. How do we pay that?" I stood, voice cold. "That's your problem now. I'm not your father. I'm not your savior. Figure it out the way honest people do. Work, sacrifice, time. The way I did when I worked 3 jobs to pay for her education." "Dad!" "Sign the papers. Oswald has them. You have until Friday." I started walking away. "Will I see you again?" I paused. Didn't turn. "Maybe. Someday. When I can look at you without seeing the betrayal." Kept walking. I spent 40 years in theater. Built hundreds of sets. Created countless illusions. That 20-minute conversation was the hardest performance of my life. That evening, Goldie's living room. Bourbon untouched on the table. Phone buzzed. Oswald. "They signed the settlement. House transfers to Devereaux Monday. It's over." Over? The word felt wrong. I opened my contacts, scrolled to Velma's name, unblocked. after our meeting, thumb hovering over the call button. Don't, Goldie's voice from the doorway. Don't what? Whatever you're thinking about doing, give it time. Give yourself time. I set the phone down. How much time? I don't know, but not tonight. I picked up the bourbon, took a sip, winced. I thought I'd feel different when it ended. Satisfied, vindicated, something. What do you feel? Empty. Like I won a game nobody should have been playing. That's called growing up, even at 68. Phone buzzed again. Devereaux. Dad, it's Devereaux. Thank you for the settlement. I know it wasn't easy. The house tenants move in next month. I'm sending Velma 60% of rent for 5 years to help with her debt. Not forgiveness, just family. I closed my eyes. Even my loyal son was showing mercy. Maybe that's what I taught them after all. 6 weeks later, the courthouse hearing took 15 minutes. Judge's gavel came down, approving the settlement. Velma and Cornelius stood before the bench, nodding understanding. No drama, just paperwork and finality. House officially transferred to Devereaux's name. He decided to rent it for $4,500 a month. Set up an agreement. 60% to Velma for debt repayment over 5 years. Not charity. Business arrangement with family. Moving truck outside a modest apartment complex in Gresham. 40 minutes from Eastmoreland by car, 40 years by lifestyle. They'd come full circle to where they started, just older and deeper in debt. I drove there 3 weeks after the hearing. Final paperwork to sign. Knocked on apartment door. Velma answered, awkward moment before inviting me in. Their new living room. Cramped. Furniture from thrift stores. Dramatic contrast to the house they never really had. Dad, come in. It's not much, but it's clean. That's something. Cornelius from the kitchen. Coffee? I just made a pot. No thank you. I won't stay long. Just need your signatures on the final transfer documents. Velma sat, took the papers. Devereaux's really letting us pay back through the rent? It's not letting, it's an agreement. 60% of monthly rent for 5 years. You'll pay back about $162,000 of what you took. The rest? Consider it the cost of your education. That's more than fair. It's what Devereaux decided, not me. She signed, then looked up. Dad, have you forgiven us? Long pause. I understand why you did what you did. Understanding and forgiveness are different things. Will you ever forgive me? Maybe. Someday. When I can look at you and not see the year you stole from me. The trust you broke. The family you fractured. She nodded, tears falling. That's fair. I stood, gathered papers. I need to go. Will we see you again? At holidays? Birthdays? I stopped at the door, back to her. I don't know. That's honest. I don't know if I can sit across a table from you and pretend everything's fine. Cornelius spoke up. We don't expect pretending. Just a chance. I turned slightly. You have 5 years to prove you've changed. Maybe by then I'll be ready to see it. I left. A week later, a package arrived at my apartment. Small, carefully wrapped. Inside, my old theatrical award trophy from 2005. Bronze theater masks I'd given Velma 20 years ago. Note in her handwriting. I don't deserve this, but I'll try to deserve it again. Thank you for the lesson. She sent back my award. 20 years ago, I gave it to her saying, May you always make art that matters. Apparently, larceny and desperation don't qualify. At least she finally read the engraving. I cried reading it. First time I'd cried through all of this. Set the trophy on my shelf where it belonged originally. May afternoon, Goldie picked me up. You've been quiet all morning. Just thinking. About? Whether I did the right thing, the haunting, the revenge, all of it. Did you? We drove to Eastmoreland. Parked across from 4521 SE Woodstock Boulevard. Young couple with a baby moving in. New tenants. Normal family inhabiting the house that caused so much pain. I don't know, I said, watching movers carry furniture. I got justice. The house is back with Devereaux. They're paying consequences. But I lost my daughter in the process. Maybe permanently. You didn't lose her. She's still alive. Still trying. Still your daughter. You gave her the hardest gift. Accountability. With mercy. Doesn't feel like a gift. Growth never does. For either of you. The young father carried a baby carrier. Wife directing movers. They looked excited. Happy. That house was supposed to make my life better. Instead, it destroyed my family. The house didn't destroy anything. Choices did. And choices can rebuild too. You sound like a playwright. I was married to one for 15 years. Some things stick. She paused. What now? Now? I'm thinking about a new show. Maybe something about forgiveness. Or trying to forgive. Not sure yet. That sounds like healing. Or procrastination. Hard to tell the difference at my age. We stood there another moment. The young couple disappeared inside, carrying boxes of their future. The house glowed with warm light from windows. New life, new beginnings, people who knew nothing of its history. We turned and walked back to the car. In the upper window, for exactly 3 seconds, something flickered, a shadow figure. My silhouette, hand raised in farewell or blessing, then disappeared. Equipment malfunction, or had I activated it remotely one final time, one last theatrical signature? Even I didn't know. The last ghost disappearing, the curtain falling. December rolled around. Velma sent a Christmas card. Return address, Gresham. Devereaux sent one too. Return address, San Francisco. I put them on opposite ends of my mantle. Geography as metaphor. 2 months after that, an envelope from Velma. No note. Just a forwarded letter from Cornelius's oncologist. Latest scan showed complete remission, cancer undetectable, essentially cured. The experimental treatment had worked beyond their hopes. Attached note from the doctor. Your husband's case is being published in medical journals. His response to the immunotherapy is helping us save other pancreatic cancer patients. He's literally part of medical history now. I read it 3 times. Her terrible choice, her theft, her betrayal. It saved not just Cornelius, but potentially hundreds of future patients. Didn't excuse what she did, but gave it meaning beyond their personal tragedy. I kept the letter, slid it into the frame next to Velma's childhood photo on my shelf, face up now, for the first time in months. Maybe that's the beginning of forgiveness. Not erasing the past, but allowing it to be complicated. Allowing people to be both wrong and desperate. Allowing mercy to coexist with justice. Spring came again. I started writing a new play. Working title, After the Curtain. About a father and daughter, betrayal and redemption, revenge and mercy. About the space between understanding and forgiving. Goldie asked if it was therapeutic. I said maybe. Or maybe I just needed to make sense of it all the only way I knew how. Through theater. Someone once told me revenge is a dish best served cold. They were wrong. Revenge isn't a dish at all. It's a performance. You plan it, stage it, execute it, and when the curtain falls, you realize the audience was just you. And you're not sure if you like the show. I spent 40 years creating illusions in theaters. Made people believe in ghosts, magic, impossible things. Turns out the hardest illusion to create is the one where you convince yourself that justice and satisfaction are the same thing. They're not. Justice I got. Satisfaction remained elusive. But understanding, that came. Slowly, painfully, like everything worth having. Velma's working 2 jobs now. Devereaux sends me updates. She's paying her debts, attending counseling, trying to rebuild. Cornelius is in remission, humbled, contributing what he can. Will I forgive her? I don't know. Will I see her again? Probably. Eventually. Can we repair what broke? Maybe not completely, but maybe enough. The trophy sits on my shelf. The photo beside it, face up. Small steps toward something that might someday resemble peace. Revenge is theater. But life is what happens after the final curtain. And that's the part nobody teaches you how to write. If you like this story, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share your impressions of this story in the comments. To listen to the next story, click on the box on the left. Thank you for watching.